Did you know that Germany uncovers an astonishing 2,000 tons of unexploded bombs every year? Picture this. During the tumultuous years of World War II, the Allied armies rained down a staggering 2.7 million tons of bombs over Nazi-occupied Europe. Half of these explosive remnants found their final resting place in Germany, not in fiery detonations, but as dormant threats lurking beneath the surface. Fast forward to today, more than 70 years after the end of the war, and these silent threats continue to make their presence known in the most unexpected ways. You see, before any new building can rise from the ground in Germany, the earth must first be probed, prodded, and meticulously scanned for these unexploded ordnances. It's a unique pre-construction ritual, a strange dance with history that has become routine in cities and towns across the country. Sometimes, however, these hidden dangers reveal themselves naturally, without any prompting from human hands. Take, for instance, a surprising incident from 2011. As a severe drought parched the landscape and drained the mighty River Rhine, it revealed a monstrous 4,000-pound blockbuster bomb nestled in its dry riverbed. This unexpected find in the heart of Koblenz led to 45,000 people being evacuated from their homes. It was a stark reminder of the explosive ghosts of the past that still haunt the present. So as we navigate our modern, high-tech world, it's worth remembering that the echoes of our not-so-distant past can still be found, buried just beneath our feet. And while we may grumble about the inconveniences of our daily lives, let's spare a thought for those in Germany who must face the explosive remnants of a bygone era before they can even think of breaking ground for a new building project. So next time you think about construction work, be grateful you don't have to scan for unexploded bombs first. In ancient Greece, real men wore skirts. Surprised? Here's a fun fact to tickle your historical curiosity. When we conjure images of ancient Greece, we often picture valiant warriors sporting tunics, a kind of skirt, and striding into battle with an air of masculine bravado. Indeed, skirts were the quintessential symbol of masculinity in ancient Greece. Contrary to what we might expect, trousers were seen as effeminate, a garment more suited to women than men. Yes, you heard it right. The macho Greek warriors and philosophers, from Hercules to Socrates, would have scoffed at the idea of donning trousers. This is a perfect example of how cultural norms and perspectives can vary drastically across different periods of history. What we perceive today as masculine or feminine is largely influenced by our culture and times. In ancient Greece, the skirt, or rather the tunic, was a practical choice for the Grecian lifestyle. The warm Mediterranean climate called for lighter, more airy clothing, and what could be more comfortable than a loose-fitting tunic? Moreover, the tunic was a garment that fit all occasions. It was versatile, suitable for both work and leisure. Whether you were a soldier going to battle, a philosopher musing over the mysteries of life, or a common man attending a festive banquet, the tunic was your go-to outfit. And here's a fun twist. The ancient Greeks would often poke fun at the Persians and other Eastern cultures for their preference for trousers, seeing it as a sign of softness and effeminacy. Oh, how times have changed. So the next time you see a man in a skirt, remember, it was once the height of manliness. History is indeed a fascinating tapestry of evolving norms and shifting perspectives. And who knows, maybe one day the fashion trends of ancient Greece will come full circle, and the skirt will once again become a symbol of masculinity. Until then, let's revel in the knowledge that our ancestors had a fashion sense as diverse and interesting as ours. A singing birthday card has more computing power than the entire Allied army of WWII. Hard to believe, isn't it? Yet, it's absolutely true. The world has seen a technological revolution like no other in the past few decades, with advances in computing leading the charge. Consider this. During the Second World War, the most advanced computers were colossal machines, filling entire rooms and requiring a small army of operators. They were used for complex calculations, code breaking, and strategic planning. These behemoths were slow, finicky, and far from user-friendly. But for the time, they were cutting edge, the best technology humanity could offer. Fast forward to today. The chip inside a singing birthday card, a simple novelty item, carries more computing power than all those wartime computers combined. It's a tiny speck compared to those room-sized machines, yet it can handle more information and perform more operations per second. This tiny chip can play a tune, flashlights, even record and play back a personal message, all powered by a small battery. This comparison underscores the mind-boggling pace of technological advancement. It's been less than a century since the end of World War II, yet we've progressed from room-sized computers to microchips and greeting cards. And that's just a small example. Today, we carry around smartphones with more processing power than the computers that put a man on the moon. But here's the kicker. We take this technology for granted. We're so accustomed to these marvels that we don't give a second thought to tossing a singing birthday card into the trash once the party's over. It's a stark contrast to the leaders of WWII-era, who would have given anything for a fraction of the computing power we casually discard. Imagine Churchill or Roosevelt, their minds reeling at the thought of such technological prowess. It's a testament to how far we've come, and it makes you wonder, what unimaginable advancements does the future hold? Imagine the shock of WWII-era leaders if they knew we simply throw such powerful technology away. In 1386, a pig faced the gallows in France. Yes, you heard it right, a pig was executed. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty of this rather peculiar event, let's set the stage. We're in the Middle Ages, a time when civil rights were, let's say, not quite up to scratch. It was a period when notions of justice were, well, a little different from what we understand today. Now imagine being in the quaint town of Falaise, France. Amidst all the hustle and bustle of medieval life, a pig, yes, an actual pig, was put on trial. The crime? Attacking a child's face, an unfortunate incident that led to the child's untimely demise. In a bizarre twist, this pig wasn't merely shooed away or slaughtered for food. Oh no, it was subjected to human justice. You see, during this period, animals were often held to the same legal standards as humans. This stemmed from a belief that animals possessed rationality and morality, much like humans. So, if an animal committed what was considered a crime, it was put on trial, complete with a lawyer, witnesses, the whole shebang. And so, our pig from Falaise found itself in quite the predicament. It was held accountable for its actions, put on trial, and believe it or not, sentenced to death. Yes, a full-blown execution. The pig was publicly hanged in the town square, a spectacle that surely drew a crowd. This strange practice of animal trials wasn't exclusive to France, though. From Italy to Switzerland, several recorded cases highlight a time when animals were subjected to the human justice system. It's a bizarre chapter in our history, offering a glimpse into the peculiarities of the Middle Ages. So next time you're enjoying a bacon sandwich, spare a thought for that pig from Falaise, and remember, history is not only profound and inspiring, it is also downright quirky. Surely, that's one way to bring home the bacon. Cleopatra's reign was closer to the moon landings than the Great Pyramid being built. Astonishing, isn't it? Let's dive into this intriguing morsel of history. Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, reigned from 51 BC to 30 BC. This era of her rule might seem distant to us, but in the grand timeline of history, it's relatively recent. Now, let's time travel way back to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. This colossal structure was built between roughly 2580 BC and 2560 BC. Yes, you heard it right. The Great Pyramid predates Cleopatra's reign by a staggering 2,500 years. Fast forward to the modern era, to the moment when humanity took its first steps on the moon. The first moon landing, an unprecedented feat in human history, occurred in 1969, nearly 2,000 years after Cleopatra's reign. When we put these events on a timeline, it becomes strikingly clear that Cleopatra was closer in history to the moon landing than to the construction of the Great Pyramid. This gives us a fascinating perspective on the expansive life of the Egyptian Empire, stretching across millennia. So next time you gaze upon the moon, remember, Cleopatra was closer to that moment than to the building of the Great Pyramids. History isn't always about wars and treaties, is it? Today, we've uncovered the explosive remnants of World War II in Germany, laughed at the ancient Greeks' manly skirts, marveled at the power of a singing birthday card, raised an eyebrow at the Middle Ages animal trials, and pondered the vast timeline of the Egyptian Empire. From blockbuster bombs to computer chips, from fashion faux pas to piggy punishments, from Cleopatra to the moon landing, history never ceases to surprise us. Thank you for joining this fun journey through history. Remember, history is full of surprises. You just have to know where to look.